Did you know that nearly 48 million Americans get sick every single year from foodborne illnesses, and over 3,000 of them die, many of them seniors? According to the CDC, older adults are at significantly higher risk because their immune systems aren't as strong as they once were. What's truly terrifying is that many of these illnesses start right in the fridge. Yes, your refrigerator, the very place you believe keeps food safe, might actually be slowly turning some everyday foods into health hazards. In fact, new studies show that improperly storing certain foods in the refrigerator can increase your risk of food poisoning, nutrient loss, and even trigger dangerous chemical reactions. And the worst part, most people have no idea. If you've been popping certain fruits, vegetables, or pantry staples into the fridge without thinking twice, you could be setting yourself up for disaster. The number one food on this list is especially alarming. It not only loses its nutritional value, but also develops harmful compounds when chilled. So stay with us to the end, because what you learn could literally save your health or even your life. Before we begin, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Number 9. Potatoes. Let's start with a classic kitchen staple that most people toss straight into the fridge without thinking twice: potatoes. But here's the shocking truth: refrigerating potatoes actually makes them dangerous. When you store raw potatoes in cold temperatures, something sneaky happens at the cellular level. The starch in the potato begins to convert into sugar much faster than it should. This might not sound like a big deal, but here's where things take a scary turn. When you later cook or bake those refrigerated potatoes, especially at high temperatures, those sugars can combine with amino acids to produce acrylamide, which is a chemical compound that has been linked to cancer in animal studies and is under investigation for its effects on humans. It doesn't end there. The texture of potatoes also changes in the fridge, becoming grainy, mushy, and often darkened, which is a sign of oxidation and nutrient loss. Instead of being the comforting, hearty food we all love, refrigerated potatoes turn into a soft, sweet mess that's potentially toxic when cooked. If you've ever wondered why your roasted potatoes turned oddly sweet or why the texture felt off, your fridge could be the culprit. Potatoes should be stored in a cool, dark, dry place, not cold and wet. This helps them stay firm, flavorful, and safe to eat. So, if you've got a bag of potatoes sitting in the refrigerator right now, it's time to take them out before they turn into a health threat disguised as dinner. Number 8. Bread. Let's talk about bread, which is a comforting, essential food that many seniors keep on hand. You might think putting your loaf of bread in the fridge helps it stay fresh longer, but that's actually one of the worst things you can do. The science behind it is something called retrogradation, which is just a fancy way of saying that the starch molecules in bread start to crystallize when exposed to cold temperatures. This doesn't take weeks. It starts happening almost immediately. What does that mean for you? Your soft, fluffy bread will go stale far faster in the fridge than if you had just left it out at room temperature. That's right, the fridge doesn't keep your bread fresh. It speeds up staling. And while you can't always see the difference right away, you'll definitely taste it. The texture becomes tough, dry, and crumbly, making toast a chore and sandwiches less enjoyable. But here's where it gets worse. When bread loses moisture in the fridge, it becomes a breeding ground for mold once you bring it back out. Mold spores love the damp, uneven moisture that develops during refrigeration and reheating. And moldy bread isn't just gross, it can be dangerous. Some molds produce mycotoxins, which are toxic compounds that can cause serious health issues when ingested, especially in older adults with weakened immune systems. If you're trying to extend the life of your bread, freezing is actually a much better option. The freezer halts mold growth and staling without destroying texture. Just slice it beforehand and defrost as needed. But that fridge, it's a no-go zone for your daily loaf. Keep bread in a bread box or a sealed container at room temperature for up to a few days, and freeze anything beyond that. Don't let the chill steal your loaf's life and your health. Number 7. Onions. You might be surprised to see onions on this list, but refrigerating them is a common mistake that can lead to unexpected problems. Onions are naturally equipped with a protective, papery skin that helps keep moisture out and maintains their flavor and firmness. However, when you place onions in the refrigerator, that delicate balance is thrown off completely. The cold, humid environment inside your fridge causes onions to absorb moisture more rapidly, especially once they've been cut. This leads to a mushy texture, off-putting flavor, and in many cases, mold growth. But there's an even bigger issue here: odor transfer. Onions are highly pungent, and when refrigerated, they release sulfur compounds that not only break down more quickly, but can also seep into other foods stored nearby. Ever noticed your butter or fruit tasting oddly like onions? That's not your imagination. It's the fridge acting like a sponge for volatile compounds. Another hidden danger is bacterial contamination. A sliced onion left in the fridge, even when covered, becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. Some food myths claim onions absorb toxins, which isn't scientifically accurate, but it's true that improperly stored onions, especially when exposed to moisture, can harbor harmful microbes. For whole onions, the best storage is a dry, dark, and well-ventilated space like a pantry. As for cut onions, they should only be refrigerated when sealed tightly and used quickly, ideally within a day or two. But keeping whole onions cold. That's a recipe for spoilage, lost nutrients, and an unpleasant fridge full of onion-flavored surprises. Number 6. Tomatoes. Now, tomatoes might be one of the most misunderstood foods when it comes to refrigeration. Most people think putting them in the fridge keeps them fresh longer. But the truth is, cold temperatures are tomato destroyers, both in taste and texture. Scientifically speaking, tomatoes are tropical fruits, and they absolutely hate the cold. When you place a tomato in the refrigerator, the chilly air messes with its natural enzymes and halts the ripening process. This ripening is actually where much of the tomato's flavor comes from. Without it, you're left with a watery, bland, and mealy fruit that tastes like nothing. And let's not forget the texture. Tomatoes stored in the fridge lose their firmness and turn into a soft, rubbery mess. That satisfying bite and juicy burst you expect from a fresh tomato is gone. What's even more concerning is the effect on nutrients. Tomatoes are a good source of vitamin C, but this vitamin degrades much faster in cold storage, meaning you're not only sacrificing taste, but also health benefits. Even the skin starts to wrinkle and shrivel when kept too cold for too long, giving them an old, unappetizing appearance, even when they're still relatively fresh. If you've ever sliced into a tomato and found it watery or dull, chances are it's been chilled. The best way to store tomatoes is at room temperature, away from direct sunlight, and stem side down to preserve moisture. If they're overripe, it's better to use them immediately or cook them. Don't toss them in the fridge thinking you're helping. In reality, you're just accelerating their downfall. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic is often praised as a superfood, packed with sulfur compounds like allicin that support immune health and even help lower blood pressure. But all these powerful health benefits can quickly disappear, or worse, turn harmful if you store garlic in the fridge. Whole bulbs of garlic are designed to last for weeks or even months at room temperature, especially when kept in a dry, cool, well-ventilated area. But when you refrigerate them, the moisture and cold temperature mess with garlic's natural preservation. The cloves begin to sprout prematurely, which not only changes their taste, but also signals a breakdown in their chemical makeup. That sharp, flavorful punch turns into something bitter and rubbery. What's even worse is that sprouted garlic loses much of its allicin content, which is the main compound responsible for its health-boosting effects. But here's the scariest part: refrigerated garlic, especially if it's chopped or minced and stored in oil, can become a breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum, which is the bacteria that causes botulism. This rare but extremely dangerous illness can lead to paralysis and even death if not treated promptly. The FDA has issued warnings about storing garlic in oil without acid or refrigeration safeguards, yet many people do this without knowing the risks. Instead of chilling your garlic, keep the whole bulb in a mesh bag or basket in your pantry. If you're storing chopped garlic, use it quickly and keep it in a vinegar or lemon juice base to reduce bacterial risk. But don't let the fridge strip away garlic's power or introduce a hidden danger into your meals. Number 4. Coffee. Yes, believe it or not, coffee makes this list, and for a very good reason. Coffee beans and grounds are extremely sensitive to moisture, odors, and light. When you put them in the refrigerator, you might think you're keeping them fresh, but you're actually setting them up for rapid decline. Coffee is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture and smells from its environment like a sponge. Inside your fridge, surrounded by fruits, vegetables, and leftovers, coffee starts picking up those aromas and flavors. This completely destroys the unique flavor profile of your beans, leaving you with a brew that tastes dull, bitter, or just plain weird. But it's not just about flavor. Moisture is the real enemy here. When coffee is exposed to the cold air and humidity of the fridge, condensation forms on the surface of the beans or grounds every time the door opens and closes. This leads to clumping, premature staling, and the breakdown of essential oils that give coffee its aroma and health benefits, like chlorogenic acids. These acids are antioxidants that support heart and brain health, but they degrade faster in cold, damp conditions. Over time, refrigerated coffee becomes not only flat tasting, but also loses its potential health perks. What's more, damp coffee grounds can grow mold, especially if stored in a non-airtight container. Instead of refrigerating, store your coffee in an opaque, airtight container at room temperature in a dark cabinet. This keeps it fresh, flavorful, and safe. Number 3. Honey. Now this one might really surprise you. It's sweet, thick, golden, and looks like it belongs anywhere, including the fridge. But storing honey in the refrigerator is one of the worst things you can do to it. In fact, refrigerating honey doesn't just ruin its texture, it completely reverses the natural preservation process that makes honey one of the few foods in the world that never spoils on its own. When you put honey in the fridge, the cold temperature causes it to crystallize rapidly. That means it turns grainy, hard, and almost impossible to scoop or spread. You might think, well, that's just a texture change, right? Not quite. The crystallization process can trap air pockets, which then introduce moisture into the container when opened and closed repeatedly. And moisture is honey's enemy. It can lead to fermentation, which gives your honey an unpleasant sour taste and smell. Even worse, that moisture opens the door to microbial growth, which honey is usually able to resist thanks to its low water content and high acidity. When stored improperly, though, its natural defenses are weakened. The cold also slows down the natural enzymes in honey that contribute to its antibacterial properties. So yes, refrigerating honey can actually make it less healthy over time. The best place to keep honey is in a tightly sealed jar in a pantry or cupboard, away from sunlight and extreme heat. That way, it keeps its smooth texture, natural flavor, and all the healing compounds that make it a time-tested remedy. Number 2. Bananas. Bananas are one of the most popular fruits in the world, especially among seniors who rely on them for their potassium content and easy digestibility. But refrigerating bananas is a surefire way to destroy everything that makes them great. Bananas are tropical fruits, and their internal chemistry is built for warm environments. When you put them in the fridge, especially before they're fully ripe, the cold literally shuts down the enzymes that drive the ripening process. That means your bananas may never ripen properly at all. They'll stay hard, taste bland, and worst of all, their skin will quickly turn a dull gray or black. This discoloration isn't just unappealing, it's a sign that cold injury has occurred. Underneath that blackened skin, the banana often turns mushy in weird patches and develops an unpleasant metallic flavor. But beyond the flavor and appearance, refrigeration also damages the natural antioxidants found in bananas, especially dopamine and catechins, which are important for brain health and reducing oxidative stress in aging cells. For seniors, those compounds are incredibly important, and tossing bananas in the fridge takes them away without anyone noticing. Even worse, if the banana is already overripe when you put it in the fridge, the moisture buildup inside the peel can create a breeding ground for mold, especially around the stem area. So instead of prolonging shelf life, you're risking mold exposure. Bananas should be kept at room temperature, ideally hanging, or in a fruit bowl where air can circulate around them. If you have too many ripe bananas, freeze them, peeled and stored in a container for smoothies or baking later. But please don't chill them hoping they'll last longer. You'll end up with fruit that's lost its nutrients, its texture, and its purpose. Number 1. Olive oil. The most dangerous food to refrigerate, especially for seniors, is olive oil, which is a staple that many rely on for its heart-healthy properties and versatile culinary uses. When olive oil is refrigerated, it undergoes a process called solidification, where the fatty acids crystallize, causing the oil to become cloudy and partially solid. While this physical change isn't inherently harmful, the repeated temperature fluctuations from taking the oil in and out of the refrigerator create serious health concerns that few seniors realize. Each time olive oil moves from cold to warm temperatures, its chemical structure undergoes stress that accelerates oxidation, potentially creating harmful free radicals and diminishing the oil's beneficial antioxidant properties. These oxidative changes can transform heart-healthy oil into one containing compounds that may actually promote inflammation, which is the exact opposite of what seniors need. What's particularly concerning are studies showing that these temperature-stressed oils may contribute to increased joint inflammation and digestive distress, which are conditions already prevalent in many older adults. The solidification also makes the oil difficult to pour, increasing the risk of spills or overuse, which adds unnecessary calories to seniors' diets. Beyond health concerns, the flavor profile suffers dramatically, with refrigerated olive oil losing its distinctive fruity, peppery notes that make it such a pleasurable addition to Mediterranean-style diets recommended for heart health. So instead, store olive oil in a dark glass bottle or metal container in a cool cabinet away from heat sources like the stove. Properly stored, high-quality olive oil will maintain its health benefits and flavor for up to 2 years from bottling. So, these were the 9 foods you should never refrigerate. Try to start by reorganizing your kitchen based on food type. Keep tropical fruits like bananas and avocados out of the fridge until they're perfectly ripe. Store potatoes and onions in cool, dark places, not cold and moist ones. Bread should stay at room temperature or in the freezer, but never in the fridge. Your honey belongs in the pantry and your coffee in an airtight container in a dark cupboard. Garlic and tomatoes. Treat them like the natural, powerful ingredients they are. Store them wisely to preserve their flavor and health benefits. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you been refrigerating any of these foods without realizing the risks? What changes will you make starting right now? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.